In this sport, you don't wait for judges to decide your fate. TenexToken puts you in control. Stake instantly, speculate discreetly, and keep your moves private. TenexToken. Play smart, play discreet.
Andrew McCart, IFLTV, delighted as always to be joined with Mr. Dave Coldwell. Dave, first and foremost, mate, how are you, sir? You good?
I'm all right, thanks, mate. Yeah, good. And another good week. We're halfway through already. It's just weeks just flying by. It's crazy, but yeah, all good, thanks, mate.
Well, middle of October already, and that's the winter. I don't know what it's like in England, but up here in Scotland, it was 3 degrees this morning.
Was it? Oh no, it's warm. It's milder than that, thank God. But it's just starting to get, obviously nighttime starting to get dark. Get up in the morning and it's darker. So yeah, it's drawing in now. So summer winter.
Definitely drawn in. I don't mind the winter months, to be honest. But yeah, well, Matchroom have announced a couple of good shows on Instagram, which is good to know. At least we'll stay busy either at the shows or good shows coming up on TV. But I do want to cast your mind back to Saturday night. I want to break down and have a good conversation about Dave Allen Mcmudov. Before we do break it down, though, Dave, what were your thoughts on the fight itself?
Well, first of all, we've got to speak about the entrance. Sheffield turned out and they really backed Dave Allen. I remember thinking when he walked out onto that stage, the atmosphere just was absolutely electric. And I did actually think, I wonder if that affects him because I knew that it would mean a lot to him. I mean, listen, I don't profess to know Dave Allen, personally well, other than seeing him at shows and press conferences and being local. But you get the impression that he appreciates the good things that are happening in his career because he's come through like a rocky career. He's had a very tough career. So to be received like that by the fans in a packed out Sheffield Arena, and it was packed out, it was a great crowd. It was deafening, and I thought, I wonder if the emotions get to him. And I saw an interview that he had after the fight, and he did say he had to hold it back, which is totally understandable. But on to the fight itself, listen, I thought my idea of the fight going into it, I thought Dave would have to ride out some rocky moments early doors, take a lot of shots at arms and gloves, slip, drop, let Mcmudov shots go over the top of his shoulders, get him missing, chip away downstairs to the body, and then start, when he gets his range from the body shots, start bringing the shots over the top. And although it was hard going early doors, I thought once you saw how uncomfortable Makhmudov was when Dave was on, he was literally holding on for dear life and really reaching out and grabbing at every opportunity he could. I thought, come on, Dave, start going through the gears now, and I think you can get this done. But it just never panned out that way. And ultimately, watching it live, you was uncomfortable because the amount of clean shots he was taking in those early stages of the fight. It's one thing wearing people down and hoping to get them at the back end of the fight, but if you're taking punishment on the way in while you're wearing them down, it's also wearing you down. So when you want to put your foot on the pedal, you've not got it in you. And I think that's what happened, to be honest. Mcmudov did well, did what he had to do, knew when to tie up, knew when to buy those moments and just stop Dave from working. But when Dave got him backed up, he looked dangerous, but he just couldn't pull the trigger, or maybe perhaps was waiting for a perfect shot. Maybe perhaps just didn't feel comfortable to let his hands go in clusters in case he got caught back, because you could hear the power of the thudding power of Makhmudov's punches. They were heavy hands. So it's all right saying you've got to do this, you've got to do that, you've got to let your hands go. But when you let your hands go, you leave yourself vulnerable. And when you're getting punched in the head as often as he was early doors, it kind of makes you second guess yourself on leaving yourself unguarded.
Dave, that was kind of going to be my next question there about Dave pulling the trigger, because we've seen in the ninth round that he had Mcmudov going there in the ninth round, and maybe if he'd done that a little bit more. But I kind of said to my friends as well when we were talking about the fights and the fight in the gym, I was like, well, it's okay for me to say pull the trigger when I'm sitting on my couch. I've not got a 6'6" Russian throwing big 1-2s down the pipe at my head. So do you think that maybe he was a little gun shy because of those early rounds, and that's why he was a little bit hesitant to pull the trigger going into later rounds, because he was getting tired?
Yeah, I mean, I don't like to use the term gun shy in such in this situation, but maybe perhaps so, but more of wary because, mate, I'm sat so the zone and the media are here, the barrier's here. I'm directly outside that barrier there. I can hear these shots studying landing. They were heavy shots, and they were landing clean. There was a lot of shots landing flush on that button, and that dims your light a little bit in terms of your reflexes, your sharpness to let go of your own shots, getting out of the way, the follow-up shot. It slows your legs. It just dims you a little bit. So there's that to take into account, and the fact, like you say, when you're getting it with those kind of shots, you want to go, but your brain's kicking in, safety mechanism saying, hold on, son, you're getting banged here. So it's probably a combination of things. But Mcmudov did a good job with his jab and his straight 1-2s to keep that 6'6" frame, and he used his feet, stepping around, boxing on the back foot. Once he realised he couldn't bang him out of there early, he boxed smart. He perhaps learning from a couple of his defeats. He boxed smart and did what he had to do in order to tame the threats of Dave Allen and keep his nose in front. But at the same time, he did work hard. Dave had him working, but Mcmudov stuck with it. So it's a bit of, Mcmudov boxed well. Dave Allen just couldn't do what was needed. It's all right saying he needs to do this. I mean, I was screaming at him to drop and take his head off centre, because when he was standing tall, he was wide open for those 1-2s, because Mcmudov was almost like throwing him at the same trajectory every time. But when Dave, round 9 and just in the lead up to that, he started dropping his head to the side and throwing the shots off centre, and he was catching him with shots. And when he was going downstairs to the body, for me, I want him to go to the body, use a jab as a throwaway, get himself down to fire down to the body, and then go to the head. But he couldn't do it. And I watched an interview with him with Adam Smith afterwards. I think he was walking back to the changing rooms, and I listened to what Dave said, and he was very, very honest, and it was facts. It was such a really good breakdown of the fight, and he was very, very honest about it. He was like, look, he tried his best. It just wasn't good enough, and he knew what he wanted to do, but he was getting hit with heavy shots. It was hurting him, and he just couldn't put into effect what needed to be done to win the fight. And that is boxing. Sometimes you can get in there and what you do works, and sometimes you can get in there and you can't get to do what you want because the other guy's stopping you. You've got to remember that there's two guys in there, and people can say all they want. Yeah, he should have thrown this, he should have thrown that. Like you said, we can all sit there saying it, but when you're getting hit in the head very, very hard, which is what he was, numerous times consecutively each round, it's a lot harder to do what people want you to do. So it's unfortunate, but like I said, if anyone's not seen it, go and listen to what he says. It's a really, really good interview, and it's kind of also the reason why all them people turned out to watch Dave Allen box, because he's very honest. Whether he wins or loses, he's very honest in what he says. He doesn't dress it up in bullshit and trying to cover things up and things like that. He's very honest.
Well, one thing I will piggyback. He did say something on the DAZN broadcast as well in the ring with Jamie Ward, that he just says, "I'm just not good enough at this level."
Yeah.
And I kind of thought, you know what, you did. And any other night, if you did maybe pull the trigger a little bit more and did what you said, jab to the body, drop the shoulder, maybe got the body.
Yeah, but maybe, is that because he's not quite at that level to be able to do that against somebody
right?
at Makhmudov's level?
That's kind of what I was alluding to. So Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying. He's very honest with what he's saying. We all know the levels that Dave Allen's boxed at, operate as in won at. When he stepped up to a certain level, he's been beat. Now, a lot of times we've always said, oh, or we've said, oh, he should have been in better shape. He should have trained harder. Afterwards, he said, I didn't even train for that fight. But he's turned himself around where he's took the sport a lot more seriously lately. Last few years since he's been with Jamie Moore, and he's given himself every chance. Now, he's still got the mileage on him from the fights that he's had in the past and the punishment that he's taken in the past. The mileage doesn't come off the clock just because you start servicing it. It's still there. And that is going to have an effect on your performances still. Now, will you perform better because your preparations are better than yeah, of course. But there's still that damage, there's still that, wear and tear on your body and on your career. And so add that to the fact that it's not a slight to say he's not world level or he's not fringe world level, because Mcmudov for me isn't world class. He's that fringe. He's just below. So it's not a slight to say he's not that level. There are people that he will beat, and there are people that he won't beat. That's it. And while he's at a level, he's going to win his fights. He's going to win the fights. When he steps up, it's just not quite that level, and that's the same. Everybody's got their own levels, and when you've had the fights, you've got the experience that's making you a better fighter. But if along the road of getting that experience, you're taking a lot of punishment at the same time, that erodes you. And people can say they can agree with me or not agree with me, but it's your body. Your body isn't built for taking punishment. It's not. It's why fighters break their hands. It's why you have injuries from impact, injuries from the elbows. Coaches have elbows, neck. Because your body's not built for that kind of shit. But we are doing something despite the fact that it's not built for that. So therefore, it's gonna damage the body as the more punishment it takes over the years. You gotta remember, it's not just fights, it's sparring, it's training, it's the impact on the bags, it's everything to do with boxing training is slightly eroding what's the back end towards the back end of your career. It's eroding because you're not fresh anymore. So it's a bit of a mixture of everything, really. But ultimately, yeah, what he said, I can't disagree with. But it doesn't mean he's not good enough. He's good enough at a level. I would love. Listen, if he's going to carry on, I would love to see Dave Allen win a British title, because the British title is a wicked title. It's an amazing title to have. And for him, if he could walk off into sunset saying he's been British champion, I think Dave Allen would be very, very happy with his career. I think he should be happy with his career now anyway, for what he's achieved. That just walking out. Listen, I don't know if I put it on my Instagram or I put it on my Twitter or something. There are many, 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 in fact, the majority of world champions that will never experience what Dave Allen experienced on Saturday night, where he walked out and the whole arena was so loud, all for him, singing his name, just cheering everything he did, willing him to win. That is priceless. No belt, no amount of zeros on your paycheck will ever make you feel like that did. So he's experienced something there that whether he boxes again or not, whether he wins a British title, a world title, whatever, that's something I'll bet you he'll always remember, and he'll remember it where it's an emotion. It's not like, oh, I got paid X amount. When you get paid a great paycheck, yes, it changed your life and things like that, but it's not. Yes, it's emotion because it makes you happy because it's changed your life and stresses have gone and things like that. But something like that where people are connecting emotionally with you and willing you and giving you that energy to do well, and that all them people want you to do well on that night, that's a different kind of emotion, and he's experienced that. And a lot of good top level world champions will never experience that, and they've never experienced that.
Yeah, that's true. I never thought of that, but you're probably right. I do want to go back on something you said with fighters getting injured and stuff like that. Now, Mcmudov said that he broke his hand on Dave's chin. How tough is Dave Allen?
Mate, honestly, I was trying to think, because we can all talk. Oh yeah, we kind of get caught up in moment, and sometimes we over exaggerate somebody. We call them, the best or this or that, but you got to remember the passage of time that's passed before you. But in my time in boxing, I'm not saying he is the toughest, but I'm saying I don't know anyone that's tougher. So they'll be as tough as Oliver McCall, people like that. You look, but live, the amount of times that I've seen Dave Allen box live, and I've heard the shots landing, I've seen, and then you look at how he's always been, when he's been in with Ortiz and Price and people like that, the guys that are big favourites over him, and big punchers, strong, big heavyweights, and you see the shots that he takes and just keeps on coming forward. He's got to be right up there. He's got to be right up there. But mate, he's different. He's built different, because even when I mentioned it, when he boxed Johnny Fisher, the two fights, Fisher were landing bombs on him, ripping him body shots at some points, and Dave weren't flinching. He was just, carrying on coming forward, doing what he did. Then, like I said the other night, you could hear the shots landing. They weren't nice, mate, and he was taking them flush and just coming on. The guy's tough, extremely, extremely tough.
For the next fight for Dave Allen, you mentioned the British title, TKV, Fraser Clark winner. I saw Frank Warren's interview today with Coogan Cassius, his full name, Coogan, and he said a David Adelaide type, and I quite like those two fights, the Fraser Clark TKV winner, or even in with David Adelaide. I think that's an all action fight. Is there anyone else that we're missing in there, or do you agree with those two fights?
Yeah, I like that. I like it. Either of those three guys. Yeah, if he's carry on, I think they're the kind of fights that you would like to see him at that sort of level, really.
Um,
Who else? Who else is there really? Yeah, probably.
I probably agree with you. I probably agree with you. I probably will say there's probably the only fights out there, not the only fights out there for him, but when you look at the landscape of British boxing, British heavyweights, I think he said himself that the British title will mean a lot to him and his dad and his granddad and whatnot. So
Yeah,
I think for me, knowing Dave and you knowing Dave, very likable. He's probably one of the nicest guys you will meet in boxing. Very likable, honest, like you said. And if winning the British title means that much to him, I'd like to see him get a shot at least.
yeah, definitely.
Mm-hmm.
I think it should be. I wouldn't want to see him in with any more, you know, as a stepping stone or a name for world level operators and people like that. I think he's at a stage of his career now where he's fought enough of those sort of guys. Maybe start being a little bit selfish in himself now, and think, right, okay, just take that level down a little bit, and off you go. So yeah, domestic level, I think that's. I mean, we're saying domestic level, but they're still good fights. Him and Fraser Clark is a
Yeah,
good fight to watch. As a fan, be a good fight. TKV, like I said, them sort of guys, Adelaide, the good fights.
definitely. Again, the heavyweight scene is always exciting. We love the heavyweight scene, but just I want to just jump on your stable. You've got a very I keep saying this every time I interview you, Dave. It's like you've got a very exciting young stable of fighters, and it's just they're almost there. They're almost there to that breakout fight when it comes. When is it? When do you think that will happen for these guys? Because you've got, like I said, you've got Dan Tower, who's very exciting. I mean, he's all action. Hopey Price, do you know what I mean? Ellis Price as well. You've got some very young fighters. I probably missed a couple in there, but you'll remind me, no doubt.
Don't forget Stephen Cairns.
Stephen Cairns. Oh, there you go. Stephen Cairns, man. He is lighting everybody up at the moment. How did I forget that?
Yeah.
So, like I said, the breakout fight, they're just needing that one name, one household name, if you want to call it that, breakout fight. When will that be for these guys?
Stephen in the new year, definitely.
Mm-hmm.
He's is going to get his last 8-rounder at the end of this year, and then next year he'll have his, I think probably the first fight of the new year, he'll get a title fight or something like that, and that 2026 will be his breakout year. He's a good kid,
in a lightweight division, which not just I'm not talking about world level, but just here domestically with the Joe Cordinas, the Maxie Hughes, the Sam Nooksies. I mean, your Joe Cordinas, people like, is a little bit. But that's what I mean. It's an exciting, even
but it's an exciting division.
Yeah, very, very exciting domestically as well, and obviously, he's.
But I would actually say the two guys that won the British title.
Louis O'Doherty.
Stephen's Irish, so he wouldn't be fighting for the British title. But if there was another title on the line for a fight with either of those two guys that fought for the British title, he'd be at that sort of level now with those two. To be fair, Ellis Price is 3-0, and Ellis Price is a prospect, a serious prospect. He is. Honestly, 2026, people are going to realise that he's a prospect to watch. He's had 2 fights on the Sky shows. He's had one on Channel 5 Wasserman show. He's a very talented fighter, and everybody that he's been in the ring with sparring all rate him. He's the one that's going on the under the radar at the moment, but he's the one that's he's a very special kid. So dedicated, got the right temperament. So I'm looking forward to watching his development as well. And then we've got the old dog, Lerone Richards. He's come back with a win.
Yeah.
So he's back on the roster and back live and kicking again. So we're trying to land a big fight for him. Hopefully, I think a lot of people. There's been a lot of talk since they put a little poster out of potential of him and Dan Aziz fighting. Hopefully that gets made. I think Dan Aziz's style with Lerone would make for a good fight. Some people like to mock and think, but if you've got a guy that's coming forward at Lerone, it makes for a good fight. And Dan Aziz would do that. He'd come and bring the pressure in, and it'd be. I think it's a fight that Lerone would look very good in. There's a light heavyweight show where there's going to be winners and losers all the way through on the Queensbridge card. I'd put Lerone in any one of them. So there's hopefully there's a big fight coming for him in 2026.
Fingers crossed. What's happening with Hopey?
Mate, it's the most frustrating couple of years ever, to be honest. And I think as a coach, it's been the most. I've got to be careful how I word this, because I've had, as a coach, probably the most heartbreaking to see a kid go from that and no ceiling in my eyes, and watching him just being fucking unbelievable, to just through no fault of his own, through injuries, where we are right now, he's under treatment for. It's a long story. So, long story short, breaks his hand, has the hip welded to his chunk of the hip welded to his hand. The hip then gets stiff. Because the hip's stiff, he's lost the movement in the hip. Now you know what kind of style it is. Yeah. So then we're trying to get that sorted. So that delays him. That delays him coming back, because he can't move his left side. He can't turn into his left hand. So he's a little restricted on movement on things like that. Makes him very stiff and upright. So then, during his time where he's trying to have rehab on that, he's gone and do something. He's had to work. He's not had no money. So then he's working. They've dropped a fucking slab on his foot. You want to see the picture? You want to see this? He's got a picture of his ankle, of his foot. Oh my God. Since then, it's just been a case of trying to get him to be able to balance again. He's been under a neurologist. So they was worried about whether the signal from the brain to the foot, to the ankle, is, you have a signal if the pathway is blocked, if it's missing, because he would be on the pads. So it would be on the pads, and he'll land, say, a right, his southpaw, so he'll land a right hook, and he'll fall or totter off landing the right hook on the pads with me. And it could 1 minute he's standing, he's boxing, puts his weight on his back foot, and it's like a drunk, like where he's just like fucking like a palm tree trying to keep his balance. And he was trying to keep in the gym, trying to keep it going, because some days it'd be all right, some days you'd watch him and he'd start getting some strength in his punches back again, and you're thinking it's coming, and then it just goes. So this is why I was saying, is it a hit and miss signal? But it's got, I don't know the exact terminology what they're giving it, but he's under treatment, and fingers crossed. Well, I don't know. I've kind of, when we've been asked, because you've got this going in background, you're trying to, yeah, everything's going to be good. Eventually it's going to be good. So it's like, you don't need to go into all bullshit or what it is. Now it's the point where if this treatment doesn't work, I'm blatantly honest with you, if this treatment doesn't work, he'll never box again. Oof. That's a fact, because you can't. He needs to be able to put weight on his left ankle. If it works, then it's like what I've said to him. He's 25 now. I said to him, "Gone. You've mentally, because it's been so tough on him." Mm-hmm. So I'm trying to explain to him and trying to say to him, right, mentally, you have to forget your career that's been hot prospect, fucking this, going to be this, going to be that. That's all gone. This is a new career. If this treatment works, and if you can come back and if you can box, then it's a new career. We're gonna have to spend a year rebuilding, literally, because he's that far. If you can't put balance on your leg, then you can't. So everything that you're trying to do is off. So he's gonna have to spend possibly a year rebuilding, and then you can then start stepping back up again. And then, so you're talking, and the positive, I always try and find a positive. So I've said to him, and I'm saying it because I've said to him, so it's not like he's going to see an interview and go, oh, fucking hell, what's Dave saying? All my major successes, well, fighters were in the 30s. Mm. You know, Bellew, Jamie McDonnell, Gav McDonnell, Curtis Woodhouse, everybody that I've had success with, Ryan Rhodes, everybody that I've had good success, have all been in the 30s. Lerone. So he's 25. So if we have to spend a couple of years rebuilding, you look at half the champions that are around now, they're all, I'm not talking about world champions, I'm talking about guys that are like winning British Europeans right now. They're all late 20s, early 30s. So see it as a new career, see it as a start where you're starting again at 25 years old, spend a couple of years rebuilding, and then at 27, 28, you start pushing on. But that's kind of, being honest, that's kind of where we are. But right now, he's having this treatment, so he's not in training. So he's not training. So if the treatment works, he'll box again. And if the treatment works, then it'll be great, because he will get his shit back. Because he's showing little glimpses of it, but then you just start falling over. So hopefully the treatment works. If it doesn't, then it's going to be, it's heartbreaking. It really is. And it's been, like I said, it's been very, very tough for him. So it's been a case of like, because it's been tough mentally for him. It's been you've got to remember, he's coming off his biggest win, and where everybody's having a song and a dance about him, and this is, you know, and to go from that to now he's not, you know, it's over 2 years now. He's not boxed. It's been very tough for him, and like I said, he's not earned, so he's having to work. He's having to go back and help his dad and work, just not moving any concrete slabs anymore. But we'll see. I'm hoping, and the doctors are hopeful that they can sort this. But I don't know. I don't know. I genuinely don't know anymore.
Well, listen, I've definitely got my fingers crossed for you because I know Hopey's a very, very nice kid. I've met him a good few times and spoke to him outside of boxing as well. So I've got my fingers crossed for him because, like I say, he does deserve it. He's a nice kid. So fingers crossed for him, Dave. But as always, man, Dave, I always appreciate your time. You know what it is. I always love grabbing you for an interview, a chat, wherever I am. If I'm got a microphone in your face or I've got my laptop out, I always enjoy my time with you, Dave. So as always, I appreciate you taking your time out on your Tuesday evening to talk to me. And is there anything else you'd like to add, or you good?
No, that's it.
In this sport, you don't wait for judges to decide your fate. TenexToken puts you in control. Stake instantly, speculate discreetly, and keep your moves private. TenexToken. Play smart, play discreet.